What's going on, everyone? So a lot of you really enjoyed the new deck I put out the other day with the Turn to Malevolence. So we're back again talking about set 3 and playing some set 3. Don't worry, I have more exploits on my exploit decks coming soon. But we're visiting MAUL today for, well, a little bit of fun because a lot of you were extremely excited about the highest power leader that we've got right now. So it's really looking really fun. With that said, we're going to be testing out some set 3 on Force Table today and talking about the deck. Before we do, big thank you to my patrons over on Patreon. And also, I have a TCG player link in the description down below. Be sure to use it for all your Star Wars Unlimited card needs. Let's talk MAUL and why we are here today. So there are a lot of different ways you could build MAUL, as with any deck, and we're going to be doing that for the next 3 months, 4 months, whatever it is, figuring out the meta and everything like that. But for today, I decided to go with a MAUL green list because there are really kind of two ideas I had. One, I want to get MAUL down. I want to see this 6/6 in play doing some massive work, and ideally maybe pumping it up with an upgrade or 2 or 3 fallen lightsabers and making it an absurd thing to deal with, right? But also, the cards that look the most exciting with MAUL's ability are a little bit higher on the curve. We have things like Darth Maul, Kylo Ren, MAUL from set 2, and Savage, all of which look really solid with MAUL's ability to give Overwhelm because they have such high power. So I was thinking, well, let's go ahead and try to ramp a little bit into it, skip our 4-drop slot, and see if we can get down MAUL a turn or 2 early and leverage the fact that he's such a massive body in of himself, using things like Overwhelming Barrage on top of that to clear the board. Alongside that, we have a couple of things kind of filling in the curve. So we've got the Darth Mauls, the Savage Opresses, the Mauls, the Kylos at the top end. But in the beginning of the game, we have things like Viper Probe Droid, figuring out what's in our opponent's hand. Can we set up for price on your head? Can we do the Fallen Lightsaber type thing? We have Death Star Stormtroopers early on in the game, maybe to combo with Force Throw on turn 1, just getting an extra card out of your opponent's hand. Bo-Katan acts as a 2/3 and can actually be a 3/3 in this deck due to your Phase 3 Dark Troopers as well as the Death Star Stormtroopers. But also, we have a little bit of a minor force synergy because of all of our massive drops all having force in their traits. Maul, Ren, Maul again, and Savage. We also have Fifth Brother, who also has the force trait. Maul as our leader, who has the force trait. So we've got Force Throw, and we have the Fallen Lightsabers to potentially give a bunch of value within that. Kylo's Silencer, Dark Trooper, Punishing One, all kind of filling the curve. Resupply, price on your head, Super Laser right here to ramp us. And then we've got, well, Overwhelming Barrage as removal, Palpatine's Return, maybe recycle some of these big force units. And, well, Force Throw, as I mentioned earlier, is sometimes removal and sometimes just a way to get our opponent's cards out of their hand. We're going to see how well this performs. Let's dive into some games. All right, and as for our first game on Force Table, nothing better than the trusty old Sabine Green. I think this is the best deck for the AI to run. It's very simple. They usually make reasonable plays with it. The only questionable one is usually ECL and how they use that, but I like this hand. We got some ramp. We have got some expensive stuff. I'm going to resource the Fifth Brother and the Fallen Lightsaber, and we're just going to go ahead and go Viper Probe Droid, ramp, and hopefully get down a MAUL, right? Looks like they're going to go Ketsu Onyo turn 1, and they have a Disabling Fang Fighter to follow it up if they draw nothing else. So let's go ahead and take initiative. And then I am going to go ahead and probably resource this Phase 3 Dark Trooper, because my plan here is I'm just going to go ahead and action out this Super Laser Technician and kill the Ketsu, which is going to give us an additional resource, put us up to 4 resources. Next turn, we're going to be able to resupply. And that's going to give us a really nice option. They're going to EC out Spec Force Soldier. And as I said earlier, not exactly a play that normally a player would make, especially when they have no follow-up. So yeah, definitely not a play that you would be expecting. We drew ourselves the Death Star Stormtrooper and the Viper Probe Droid, which is perfect. We can go ahead and get down both of those this turn. Or one of those alongside the resupply, and then also get down MAUL. They have a K2, a Poe Dameron, another K2. So let's go ahead and action out MAUL. They're going to go ahead and get down. Oh, they're going to attack the Viper Probe Droid. Okay. So let's go ahead and just kill off Sabine, get a couple points of damage on our Maul, and then we're going to take initiative. So definitely a weird little bit of a sequence there from our opponents. Definitely would not have expected kind of what happened there. But here we can go Maul, ambush, kill K2, no on attack trigger to transfer over the damage to Maul. They're going to hit us for 3, use the Sabine action, and now we're just going to attack their base for 6. And I mean, look at this. We have Maul tribal, guys. We have Maul, and Darth Maul. I love it. I absolutely love it. Great card to pick up here. We got ourselves an Overwhelming Barrage. Let's go ahead and play that one on Maul, Big Maul, and just deal 8 damage to it. And now our opponent won't be able to just straight up one-shot the Maul with Wrecker. And it'll live, which means we can just finish off the game. Simple as that. Pretty nice first game. Our opponent definitely misused the energy conversion lab. Don't get me wrong. That's not how I would recommend using it. But that sometimes does happen. We're not going to mulligan this hand. This is a pretty reasonable hand. Let's resource the Phase 3 Dark Trooper and the Fallen Lightsaber. And let's just get down this Death Star Stormtrooper turn 1. Get ourselves a Super Laser Technician on turn 2. And then hopefully go into something like Overwhelming Barrage or something of that note a little bit later on. Let's resource this price on your head, and let's just go ahead and play out the Super Laser Technician. And I know I could wait for them to play something, but I'm just going to attack their base for 3. I don't see a reason to really wait. They're going to attack our base for 2. We're going to take initiative. They got a Sundari Peacekeeper. Totally fine. And then we are going to enter our next turn. Here, let's go ahead and attack their Sundari Peacekeeper with Super Laser Technician, just get ourselves an additional resource. And what this is going to allow us to do is go Maul plus Force Throw on a single turn. They're going to ECL out Sabine, killing our Death Star Stormtrooper, which is actually kind of reasonable. Let's go ahead and play the resupply here. They're going to attack our base for 3. Let's go ahead and ready up Maul. And then I will go ahead and play out Force Throw on myself because I would like to kill off their Sabine Wren unit. And there's a chance that our opponent's going to have some sort of 1-cost thing like Rebel Assault, Timely Intervention. They could have a 2-cost thing, and then we don't kill anything, and that's pretty bad as well. But ECLing out Sabine Wren, honestly, it's not like a play I would make, but it's not terrible. Ooh, Palpatine's Return. We have nothing in the discard pile yet, so I think Palpatine's Return's pretty bad in this spot. Let's go ahead and play the Overwhelming Barrage. They cannot go ahead and ECL anything, but we get to go 3 damage to the X-Wing, 3 damage to the other X-Wing, and then 2 damage to the leader. And this is one of the strengths of having such a high-powered leader is Overwhelming Barrage, right? You have guaranteed kind of options to give you massive chunks of damage. And now they play a K2, which is a nice play for sure. Ooh, but we end up drawing a really powerful one in Maul. And now what we can do is actually just play out the Maul, ambush, kill off their K2SO, and then hit their base for 3, which also they're going to hit our base for 3 because of the K2SO dying trigger. And unless they have like 4 causes, we basically are able to win the game now. There's a Darksaber, and looks like we are going to win. So pretty nice from Maul here. Getting into an early Maul and just having Maul just take over the board is very viable, especially against an aggro deck that doesn't really have a great way to deal with Maul. Those games are pretty fast, so let's just go ahead and do another one against Sabine Green. Again, I think this is just the best option our AI friend here has to deal with us. Let's go ahead and not take a mulligan. I'm going to keep this hand because I'm going to go with something a little bit different. I'm going to resource this Force Throw in this Bo-Katan. And my opponent's going to deal 1 damage to each of us. I'm going to pass. And let's say my opponent didn't do anything. Ooh, okay. Well, Ketsu Onyo is the worst thing to see there. Like, if there was a card I didn't want to see the most, it was Ketsu. Main reason being is I was looking to price on your head turn 1, and they're going to heroic sacrifice. Okay, I also would not have done that. So our opponent did have a nuts turn 1 against us, but then didn't do a great turn 2 with heroic sacrifice. What I was going to say was I really, really, really wanted to go Price in Your Head, turn 2 resupply, turn 3 ECL out Darth Maul, kill the Price in Your Head target, ready up Maul, and then I have 2 Mauls out and it looks pretty good. Instead, we're just going to play Darth Maul and then maybe ECL out Kylo Ren and then get down Maul next turn, leader that is. But I would have much preferred a little bit of a different spot for where we're at now, or from where we're at now. So there's a Fallen Lightsaber. Let's go to resource this other Maul. And I think I will just go ahead and use Energy Conversion Lab to get Kylo Ren out to ambush. Go ahead and give the +2, +0 to Kylo, just so we can one-shot the Sabine. They're going to go ahead and play Red 3. We're going to go ahead and ready up Maul. They're going to attack for 3. We're going to go ahead and attack into their base for 5. They're going to take initiative, and then we're going to hit their base for 6. So we have a ton of power on board. They haven't used ECL, so they have a lot of different options here, and that's another Fallen Lightsaber for us. If they had like ECL Wrecker here, not much that we can do about it. So they attack with Wing Leader. I think that was a pretty smart play. But our opponent would, generally speaking, should they play Wrecker, they deal 5 to Darth Maul, they Wrecker into it, they kill us. There's nothing that we can do about that. It's not like we can use Overwhelming Barrage to get it out of range, because if we Overwhelming Barrage Darth Maul, then they just hit Maul and deal 6. If we Fallen Lightsaber to try to get them both out of range, they just attack with Wing Leader and they still kill us. So our only realistic option here is to go Overwhelming Barrage and then try to end the game this turn. So the way I'm thinking is, let's just go ahead and put it on basically any one of our units. Because if they have ECL Poe Dameron or anything like that, it doesn't really matter. Because they're going to go ahead and kill us anyways. And look at that. They're going to go ahead and kill us with Wrecker. So our opponent taking down a game, and that's the power of Sabine Green. But we ended up doing a pretty nice showing in the first couple of games. Again, despite them heroic sacrificing on turn 2, which ended up being pretty bad, I think that's still, because they had Ketsu, better than what we could have done, because we could have done some pretty awesome things getting down a Maul a turn early, which would have closed out the game potentially fast enough for us to get out of range of, you know, potentially just getting wrecked by a Wrecker. So nice stuff. Let's go ahead and load up a different deck here. Let's go ahead and try ourselves against, I decided to put in another deck that the AI is pretty decent at playing, which is this Boss Green list from set 2. Another ECL list. This is very expensive hand. Well, not very expensive, but all 3 resource plays realistically. Not super excited about that. Here's a much better hand. I'm going to resource one of these TIE silencers and this Force Throw. And then we're just going to go, oh, they got a TIE silencer of their own. Let's go ahead and put our own TIE silencer out there. Let's pass. We got a resupply on turn 2, which I like. Overwhelming Barrage galore here. They're going to hit our base for 3. Let's go ahead and just play resupply. If our opponent... oh, they're going to ECL out Punishing One. Yeah, that's a pretty solid one, to be honest. Getting that down real early is real rough for us. So here, I think what I want to do is just resource one of these Overwhelming Barrages. I know it's a really strong card, but I feel like we just need a unit to survive. They got resupply, got Punishing One, so they could resupply this turn and get down Bosk, which is a little bit scary, but there's not much else that we can do here. They're going to smack us for a decent chunk here. We're going to take initiative. They're going to resupply. They're going to get down Bosk. They're going to attack us for 4. So a really nice curve from our opponent by far. We've got ourselves a 5th brother, Force Throw. I do like what we got going on here. I'm just going to go ahead and deploy Maul. Ooh, they got Overwhelming Barrage as well. All right, well, I think if I was my opponent, I would have just taken out Maul, to be honest. They didn't do that, which gives us the Overwhelming Barrage back. Now, we could have put it on, like, let's say they did it all on Maul. We put it on Viper Probe Droid, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to get down 2 units. We kill Silencer, we kill Punishing One, and we also deal 2 damage to our opponent's Bosk, which would then just put it out of range of the Overwhelming Barrage or the attack from the Viper Probe Droid. So I do think that was not necessarily the best play from our opponent, but we can go ahead and go Overwhelming Barrage on our own now. Still do the kill, and then deal 5 to Bosk. Let's see what they decide to do. They decide to hit the base. I think that's perfectly reasonable as well. But I'm going to go force throw, and I'm going to go ahead and make my opponent discard because I don't think they have any sort of zero cost card, which means that the MAUL will live, Bosk will die, and then we get to pass it to the next turn. Got ourselves Super Laser Technician and Viper Probe Droid. They put a punishing one out. We're going to go ahead and attack into their base for 6. They play a Toro. We play Savage. We don't control fewer units than our opponents, so there's no reason to try that because we don't control fewer units than our opponent. We didn't draw a space unit, which we can ECL to kill the punishing one, which means that we lost. We are dead and gone with, even though we had, well, potentially a mistake from our opponent. I think what is a mistake from our opponent. We had a little bit of an awkward draw starting us off there. Let's go ahead and do that again. The ECL on our silencer just made us take way too much damage in the early game, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and not take a mulligan. This is a reasonable hand. It's going to resource the phase 3 Dark Trooper and the 5th Brother. I don't want to be stuck where I don't have many things to play. Let's go ahead and play the Death Star Stormtrooper. By the way, not a huge fan of Death Star Stormtrooper in this matchup because of the bounties that Boss could potentially place and deal some massive damage to us with them, or deal 1 damage to the Death Star Stormtrooper with them, which could be a little bit rough. They're going to go ahead and ECL out Toro. We're going to take initiative, and we're going to see what we can do. Viper Pro Droid can go into the resource pile. Now I'm going to go ahead and just attack their Death Star Stormtrooper here. Get ourselves an extra resource. Go ahead and get a silencer and a phase 3 Dark Trooper down. Get our Sentinel going. They're going to get their Bosk down, which is totally fine. We're just going to start developing our board. Get Boss down. Attack through the phase 3 Dark Trooper. It's exactly what I would have done. And then we are going to, well, get to 6 resources, which means that we are going to be able to deploy MAUL. And unless they had Overwhelming Barrage, we're looking pretty good here. I think I would like to play Overwhelming Barrage just to go ahead and kill the Toro to keep our MAUL alive for now. Let's go ahead and attack into their base for 3. They're going to take initiative. Let's go ahead and attack into their base for 8. And I know I could kill IG, but this makes it so that they have to use their action to go ahead and kill MAUL versus me using my action, which I like a lot more. They're going to attach a death mark to MAUL, huh? Okay, well, that works out because we're just going to go ahead and hit their base for 6. So now they kill off the MAUL with their IG, which is totally fine. I have a MAUL in hand, which allows me to really get some value going, right? So I can go ahead and kill the IG, hit their base for 2, and then Palpatine's return it back, and then hopefully finish off, well, their base. They're going to go ahead and open fire. They get themselves a phase 3 Dark Trooper. So not quite done with this yet. Let's go ahead and Palpatine's return. Get back MAUL. Ambush. Hit their phase 3 Dark Trooper. And then hit their base for 4. All right, let's try that one more time. Boss Screen. Put in some work here. Really nice showing from Boss Screen. We're not going to mulligan here. I don't mind this hand. I'm going to resource actually the punishing one and Fallen Lightsaber, because I'm going to go poke Bo-Katan into the Death Star Stormtrooper plus Silencer. Oop, they're just going to force choke it. Sure thing. We're going to take initiative then. And we've drawn ourselves, well, I think something that I'd rather play, which is 5th Brother here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to play the 5th Brother. Super Laser Technician, huh? All right, well, let's take initiative. And then let's go ahead and resource this 5th Brother. Yeah, actually, I think I'm just going to resource the 5th Brother. So here, I will just go ahead and attack their base. I will go ahead and kill their Super Laser Technician. because they can deal 2 damage to my 5th brother, where in this case he only takes 1, which I think is worthwhile. We're gonna go and play the silencer, and then we're gonna take initiative. They got force choke for their 5th brother part 2. They got resupply, and we got a bunch of expensive stuff, huh? All right, so let's go ahead and I think we just attack in with the silencer here. They go ahead and attack in with Bosk. I'm just going to play a Darth Maul out. They got a Ruthless Raider. They're going to kill my silencer. Ooh, Ruthless Raider looks real good here. Resupply getting on and resourced. Going to go ahead and get resources, what I meant to say. Let's go ahead and ECL out this Kylo Ren. Go ahead and ambush. Attack the Bosk. Give +2/+0 to Darth Maul. They're going to open fire, hitting Darth Maul for 4. That's fine. I'm just going to hit their base for 7. I know that I could use it to like overwhelm, attack multiple units, and do all that stuff, but we're going to be able to get down Maul here, the other Maul. And then we're going to be able to attack their base for 6, which puts them in lethal range of all of these units. Well, not all of them, because Maul only hits for 5, but the Kylo Ren and the other Maul, and we're going to be able to win that way. So pretty nice one. Again, just so much power when you start to get to the 5, 6, 7 resource plays. Our opponent did resource the IG, which they definitely should have kept in hand. I'm trying to think if they could have done anything a little bit different. I mean, resourcing the Kylo Ren on turn 1, depending on what your hand looks like, doesn't strike me as too crazy. But, you know, if they had a little bit more of an expensive play with an ECL available, they could have potentially outraced me. But really, really sweet stuff from Darth Maul. Let's go ahead and try it against some of the newer decks. Let's go ahead and try it against this Ahsoka aggro deck that we were playing against the other day. Looks like a reasonable hand. I'm going to go and resource the Fallen Lightsaber and a Force Throw and Death Star Stormtrooper. And, I was thinking that for some reason the Super Age Technician was going to be our turn 1 play. That's not what our turn 1 play was. Let's go to resource this Force Throw. I should have resourced the Fall Lightsaber and the Force Throw. We're going to go Super Age Technician into Super Age Technician, which is a fine kind of couple of plays here. But our opponent's going to start flooding the board with a lot of different things, which is going to be a little bit concerning. Let's go ahead and resource. Let's go ahead and resource this resupply. So I think what I would like to do is just go ahead and attack into their Greedo, prevent us from taking damage from that here. Go ahead and get ourselves an additional resource. Then I'm just going to ECL out this Super Leader Technician. Go ahead and hit their R2 for 2, which is then going to give us enough resources so that we can deploy Maul and go ahead and play a Fallen Lightsaber on Maul. So now they're going to hit us for 4, which is pretty sweet. We're going to be able to attack R2 and then hit their base for 8, which is nice. We get to pass, and then we get to resource this resupply. And then we have Maul plus Overwhelming Barrage available. They have an Ahsoka Tano. We're going to Overwhelming Barrage, and we're going to hit for 11 points of damage. That's crazy. So 3 here, 4 here, and then 4 over on Ahsoka as well. And we're going to go ahead and draw a card off that bounty effect. They're going to go ahead and smack us for a nice chunk with the Padawan's lightsaber. And we're actually going to trade our Maul off with the Ahsoka here. We're going to hit for a whopping 10 points of damage, take initiative, but then set us up for ideally a nice turn here by playing our Maul out, our other Maul. How many Mauls do we have? I keep saying Maul, but I mean Green Maul, I guess. For those of you that are listening in and not watching the video, you're hearing Maul, 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 Maul. That's too funny. It is what it is, guys. Maul is coming in to play. Let's just say that. So let's go to resource this TIE Silencer. They've got themselves an L3 here. I am just going to kill them. Just go ahead and hit their base for 7. And that was a pretty nice showing of Maul. Let's go ahead and start ourselves over yet again. Let's Maul again. Pretty weak starting hand. see if we could do something a little bit better. Okay, I do like this. It's good resource, this force throw and this punishing one. Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and pass here. Okay, so our opponent plays A-Wing, which I was a little bit sad about because I was really hoping for some sort of ground unit. They're going to surprise strike in for a whopping 6 points. I'm going to go and resupply. They're probably going to take initiative. Nope, they got a cartel turncoat. So yeah, we definitely want to find ourselves a punishing one at this stage of the game. Let's go and resource this Viper probe droid. They're going to start smacking us every single turn here for a lot. They're going to hit us for 3, hit us for another 2. Oh, they're going to play Ahsoka. So they're going to hit us for another 3 here. And they're going to play a Greedo. Okay. Force throw. Looking kind of interesting. So I think in this spot, what I would like to do is just play Overwhelming Barrage on Darth Maul, giving 3 damage to the A-Wing, 3 damage to the Cartel Turncoat, and 1 damage to the Greedo. So just wiping their board pretty much. Getting ourselves an additional resource, and then getting us an extra card draw. They're going to go ahead and attack with Ahsoka. I'm going to play out Force Throw, force throwing my opponent. Yes, they only had a 1 drop there, but that's totally fine because now what we can do is action with Maul and then get Overwhelm and attack 2 different units here. So check this out. Getting in for total of 5 damage into our opponent's base. What an absolute amazing, amazing option for us. Let's go ahead and get down to Maul as well. Yes, that, I keep saying Maul. Darth Maul is going to get killed off. We're going to poke the shield off of L3. I know this is a little bit unfortunate, but we kind of do want to be in a spot where we don't have our opponent having a ton of units for things like Hotshot Blaster, for example, although they're just going to trade off straight up, which is totally fine. Let's just go ahead and play. Let's just get a bunch of units on the board here. So we still have ECL available to us. I'm going to play out the Sentinel and the 5th Brother here because Maul has ambush, and if we draw an expensive thing, we can always ambush that one out with ECL as well. Here, let's attack with 5th Brother. I'm going to go ahead and deal 1 damage to itself to kill the Greedo. So now we have a really nice situation where we're in where our opponent doesn't have any things on the battlefield. And we can just go ahead and start playing things like Kylo Ren here. Batch Brothers comes down. Batch Brothers, not particularly strong here. Got ourselves another Maul. Very nice. Let's go ahead and resource this Maul because we can go face the Dark Trooper plus Maul. And here I can go 5th Brother attacking the Clone Trooper. Oh, wait, whoops. I should have used the action from Maul to give Overwhelm to it so that I could have hit their base for 3 points of damage, which would have been really quite nice. Ooh, okay. So they have a Millennium Falcon, which can get a little bit scary a little bit quickly. They're going to hit us for 3. We're going to go ahead and play a Phase 3 Dark Trooper out. They're going to take initiative. We're going to play out our other Maul. So we have enough power on the board to kill them next turn. It's just a matter of can they kill us? And with an Overwhelming Barrage, I think that's unlikely. So now we get to play out Overwhelming Barrage on Kylo Ren, wiping out Millennium Falcon and Sabine Wren here. Then we get to go ahead and attack in with Kylo Ren for a whopping 10 damage and then finish them off with Maul. So pretty nice. The Overwhelming Barrage is by far the strongest card to pair with all these really high-powered units. When you're ramping and then you have a guaranteed extremely high-powered unit, it really makes cards like Force Throw, like Overwhelming Barrage, these cards that require another thing in play. When you have such a high stat unit, it makes them so much better. It's one of the reasons why Boba Fett's so good is that he's such a high stat unit so early that it makes it so much easier to combo with all these different things. Let's try a fun one. Go for some Rex Green here. Might be seeing this in a future video, as I mentioned previously. We get ourselves a fine hand. I'm not going to mulligan this one. Resource this MAUL and this silencer. They have a Republic Tactical Officer here on turn 1, which is a totally fine play. I'm going to go ahead and just put a price on your head on that Tactical Officer. And then we get ourselves double Kylo. I'm going to go ahead and resource one of them. And then in this spot, this might seem a little bit weird, but I'm just going to play out a Phase 3 Dark Trooper instead of like ECLing it or anything like that. They got Synchronized Strike. Definitely not a great play from our opponent. Would not recommend that option. Let's go ahead and resource this Punishing one here. I am going to attack my opponent's Republic Tactical Officer just so that I can go ahead and give it an XP. Then we get to go ahead and play a price on your head on the officer. They're going to go ahead and trade their officer for the Phase 3 Dark Trooper. But then we're going to go ahead and play Bo-Katan. And then we actually get to get down MAUL already. We get to get down MAUL already. And we're going to be able to kill Huyang and actually hit our opponent's base. So nice ramping. We have ECL, Kylo, ECL, Darth Maul. Ooh, we have Fallen Lightsaber potentially on the MAUL. And that's going to be a clone trooper here. So I think in this spot, I will just go ahead and action out Kylo Ren. Ambush. Go ahead and trigger ambush. Attack the Captain Rex. And now I'm actually going to go ahead and give +2/+0 to the MAUL. Even though I know that MAUL passes around the Overwhelm, I was curious to see if our opponent would have played something that required a little bit of extra power from our MAUL, which I don't think is possible to really have. But like, I don't believe there's anything in that deck that would really cause that. But regardless, just keeping it a little bit safer. They got Bright Hope, which is really to just play a little bit defense in the skies. We're just going to go ahead and put a Fallen Lightsaber on Kylo. Then I'm going to go ahead and, I could play another Fallen Lightsaber on Kylo. And based on what I know is in their deck, I think that's totally a viable play. It's going to be able to kill off the Coruscant Guard as well. And then we get to go ahead and just attack for a whopping 14 points of damage. Get in for another 2, and then that is going to be the end of this game because our opponent doesn't have anything to deal with it. And they have Yo-Wing Reinforcement, which is a nice play. Huyang plus Colonel Yularen, sure, doesn't matter. We get to smack in for 14 points of damage. What a sweet, sweet game. And I don't think Rex Screen is all that great, mind you. I think that was like the weakest of the decks that we played against today. But I do think Sabine Green is very, very solid. And I do think Boss Green is very, very solid. These, like Ahsoka, Newt, I'm playing against Newt and Dooku in AI, by the way, does not work. I've tried it. Exploit, don't give it to the AI. They just start doing random things. So we're not even going to bother against that. We could have some fun maybe in another video. But really nice. Again, the thing that I like about MAUL is the fact that he's just a guaranteed high stat stick. I don't think he's crazy strong or anything like that. I think you can get overwhelmed very easily because he is 6 to deploy. If he was like a 5 to deploy, 5/6 or something like that with like a high power but a little bit less toughness, or like a something like that where you really are getting a lot of power but he comes down just a little bit early, I would be a little bit more excited about him because he's 6 to deploy and he does die to Poe Dameron and things like that. If your opponent is ready for it, like for example, in that Sabine matchup, if your opponent has Poe Dameron, if your opponent has Wrecker, you need to be a full 2 resources ahead of them in order for them to not immediately kill your MAUL with one of those cards, right? Because ECL Poe, ECL Wrecker just kills it. And ECL Wrecker, it's the perfect stat line for your opponent to hit you with 6 points of damage, which is the perfect amount to kind of finish out the game for usually Sabine. So that's just something you have to keep in mind. But we'll talk about more about it in the final thoughts. So what do we learn with MAUL Green today? Well, there are really 2 portions of this, of course, with any leader, the action and the leader side. I've tried to build around the action side, and you can see a little bit of value here and there with it. But what you'll quickly realize is, unless your opponent's playing very frequently Death Star Stormtroopers, Super Laser Technician is one of the most common played cards that does work with this action. And what I mean by that is your opponent playing it. Unless they're playing these types of cards, you're really not going to be pumping in that much damage with the Overwhelm ability, right? If you're playing things like Death Star Stormtrooper, or you're playing 3 powered units on turn 1, 4 powered units on turn 2, you might overwhelm for a point or 2 of damage here. But again, unless it's like Super Laser Technician, you're not going to get 3, 4 overwhelm points in. It's really when you start to get later on in the game when you start to see Overwhelm doing some work, which is why I wanted to ramp and get some more value out of it. What I have seen as a really powerful strength is the 6/6 body that comes out. That amount of power is not normally guaranteed. And so Overwhelming Barrage is one of the most impressive cards with this, because a lot of the times with Overwhelming Barrage is usually combo it with your leader. Like your opponent either clears out your board or you're trading units off, and you just have like maybe like a 4 or 5 powered unit normally with Overwhelming Barrage, and it does a lot of work. When you have a 6 powered unit or 7 powered unit or 8 powered unit, not that MAUL is, but when you have those types of units, Overwhelming Barrage suddenly becomes a ridiculous, like, my goodness, how do you ever beat this card? And that's one of the most powerful synergies I've seen with MAUL, is just play MAUL, play Overwhelming Barrage, and then play Force Throw afterwards, and it's one of the most powerful plays you can make. But also just like getting a Fallen Lightsaber on MAUL when he comes down and attacking for 9 is pretty sweet. I would be interested in trying, MAUL blues, MAUL yellows more. I do find myself that ACL is a little bit sketchy in some of these matchups, especially against Sabine, because you can just die very quickly since it does take so long to get to MAUL. But regardless, it was pretty sweet, and it's also really cool to see all 3 MAULs in one deck: Darth Maul, MAUL Leader, and MAUL units. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you all for the next one.